All right, y'all. Welcome to Vino Conversations, episode 1. So just to give y'all a little bit of context on what this is. So coming out of my Vino Vriday brand, which is a wine event series, and I'm also making music mixes. A big part of that social event / party and the whole kind of vibe is also getting to know people. So I want to start talking to people, get to know these cool individuals over a glass of wine. So today I'm joined by Tatiyana. So Tati, thank you for being my first guest, yo. I appreciate you big time. So, we got to cheers real quick.
Cheers.
We're going to give a little taste of wine to start all of our episodes. So we have a natural wine red blend from Spain.
Okay.
So let's give it a taste, see how we feeling.
Okay. I know that you're like the wine connoisseur, so.
I try to be. Okay. Smooth. A little bit of acidity, nothing too crazy though. You know what I'm saying?
I taste fruits.
Definitely fruits, some dark fruits notes in there.
Like some berries, maybe some raspberries, cherries.
Yes, look, you good. Nah, this is professional. You sound like a sommelier.
A little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
A little bit. So
Fire.
This is good.
I bet. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, we couldn't start off with whack wine, so natural wines usually be hitting, so we had to go with that. Put this here.
Got a lot.
I'm a risk taker putting this right here, but we're gonna rock with it. But yeah, thank you for joining me. So if you want to give a quick little intro about yourself, and then we can deep dive and get to know you better.
Okay, so my name is Tatiyana Sierra on Instagram, and I am an associate producer at ESPN. I work on First Take, previous shows, SportsCenter, Get Up, Dish Dustin, Fantasy Show.
Fire.
And I'm also a content creator.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, TikTok, hopefully, if it doesn't get big.
Nah, we good. No, that's not happening. It's not happening.
I'm gonna be devastated. Their priorities are in whack. But
for real, all these gun issues, homelessness, but TikTok's what y'all agreed on. It's like, bro, come on.
That was
crazy.
The final straw.
Crazy.
So I do a lot of that. Like I consider that my second job.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I feel like ESPN really takes up a lot of my time. But whenever I can go to Giants games and create content or come home and rant about my Giants, like.
You were going crazy about the Saquon trade. Or signing.
Yeah.
Signing?
It was the signing.
Signing, because y'all didn't franchise tag.
We didn't get nothing for it.
Okay.
At all.
Damn, that's tough.
Isn't it? When you draft a guy at number 2.
Yeah. Are you a Knicks fan too?
So no.
Okay. I was gonna say you don't have the double New York pain then.
Yeah, no. It's not as bad. But I'm like low key a Nets fan.
But you from Jersey.
No. Okay, so let's rewind a bit.
Yeah, okay. Let's get your whole story. Let's get your whole story. Yeah.
What's really good.
Yeah.
So I was born and raised in New York.
Okay.
Literally born in the city.
Okay.
And then my family is from Brooklyn, Cypress Hills.
Oh, fire.
So growing up, I lived in Brooklyn, Queens, and then we moved out to Long Island.
Okay.
And I lived in Brentwood, Long Island until I was about 14.
Got you.
And then I moved to Florida. Good old crazy Florida.
Damn, Florida.
Yeah.
I've never had any experiences in the South. Like, besides visiting Miami, Atlanta, whatever, for a couple days. But I've never, lived anywhere below Philly.
Yeah, it's a different world.
I can't imagine.
Well, Charlemagne says the craziest people come from the Bronx and all of Florida.
Yeah.
And
I believe that.
It's true.
Yeah.
And, my mom's side, they're all from the Bronx. And now they all live in Florida. And I'm just trying to keep up with the crazy.
That's a crazy mix.
It is. But now I live in Jersey.
Okay, so got you.
Now I'm here, but I'm not really a Jersey girl. I would not consider
myself
a Jersey girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what makes you a Nets fan? Because they are the New Jersey Nets to me forever. I feel like.
Okay, you feel that way?
Yeah, because by the time they came to Brooklyn, I don't know. No one in the city's jacking the Nets. Nets games when they play the Knicks sound like Knicks home games. Even when they had their opportunity with KD, Kyrie, and everybody, they completely fumbled it. So for me, it's like, that's just New Jersey Nets. And the real passionate Nets fans that I know of are more from the Jersey side. That's why I was curious about, your fandom.
Yeah, my fandom started in about 2014, 2015 when I moved to Brooklyn.
Okay.
Especially because I'm a reality show girly.
Okay, what happened?
So back
Chris
then...
Humphries? You are a clown, bro. There's no way you picked your NBA team over Chris Humphries.
Okay, but it wasn't just
That's
him.
crazy.
It wasn't
That's
just
crazy.
him, though. It was just it was because I was a Melo girl. Melo is the reason why I even got introduced to the NBA.
That's my guy.
Yeah, so he's valid in New York, but I just knew that being a Knicks fan was setting myself up for failure. So I didn't want to do that. Don't.
Lit
You know it's
failure though,
failure.
but it's like so many of us are failing together that when the time comes, the success just hits differently.
Okay.
As you can see right now.
I mean,
it's regular season, but you know.
Success losing to the Bucks in like the first round to you?
Whoa, we're not gonna lose in the first round. We're gonna
Okay.
advance, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, the Nets, little did you know, kind of set you up for failure too, though.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
It was like, I felt like I was on top of the world.
When the signing happened?
When we had KD, Kyrie, Harden.
I was so tight.
I was like,
I was sick.
oh
I was
yeah, we
sick to
about
my
to make
stomach.
some,
Yeah, I
about
was
to make
tight.
some moves. And then it just slowly just started trickling into nothing.
Yeah.
And then we ended up with Ben Simmons.
My boy. Yo, it's my favorite
Shout out
hustler
to
in the
Ben
world.
Simmons, I guess.
You making $100+ mil?
Just to
hang out,
he's
vibe,
solid.
cool courtside fits, acting like a celeb. I respect it.
Highway robbery.
Highway robbery for
so
sure.
You want a man who don't play no games? Ben Simmons is your
That's
guy.
a clip right there. I'm crying. But taking it way back, because obviously, as y'all can tell, she's already very passionate about sports. I'm sure you've always been. So how did you first get into sports? Was it introduced through your family? Was there a particular sport that you got onto first? Just kind of like what's been your journey within the game?
So it's funny because I never had any like older brother, dad influences when it came to sports.
Interesting.
It was really my 6th grade teacher out in Brentwood. She was a big Yankees fan.
Okay.
So one day for homework, she made us go home and watch a Yankees playoff game.
Interesting.
Right.
I wish I had homework like that.
Right. She was a really big Yankees fan. So I went home and I think they beat the Cleveland Indians in like the ALDS. I think it was like the championship game of that series.
Fire.
And from then on, like I saw Kimberly Jones. She was the current sideline reporter.
Okay.
And, you know, she was there for the Gatorade baths. And I was a young girl and I was like, dang, that actually looks pretty fun. I think that might be something I'm interested in. And then I started playing softball. Okay. So being a softball player, you know, baseball is hand in hand. And then the Yankees were killing it back then.
Running it up.
So it was like Derek Jeter. He was my idol growing up. You know, Jorge Posada, Mariano, like those are my guys. And that's really what got me obsessed with sports.
Okay. The Yankees first. And would you say today you're still a bigger Yankees fan than Giants fan?
Nah.
So how did football take over from baseball and softball?
How did football take over? You know what the craziest thing? I should be a Tampa Bay Bucks fan.
Because of Florida?
Yes.
Okay, so explain that.
Because the first year I started watching football was 2000 when the Bucks won the Super Bowl.
Okay.
With Tony Dungy. I think that was their coach at the time. So black head coach.
Yep.
And then they also had Rondé Barber,
okay.
Tiki Barber's twin brother.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So watching that game, I think they were playing the Raiders too. So I was like, okay, I'm intrigued. But Tampa was like the first team that I seen win a Super Bowl. And then once I kind of started doing my research, you know, find out who Tiki Barber was, and I was still living in New York, I was like, I think I can get down with the Giants too. And then eventually, literally, like I remember I was in 8th grade, I think, when the Giants won, or 7th or 8th grade when the Giants won the Super Bowl, their third one. So at that point, I was locked in.
Got you. That's fire. And so, you know, obviously getting into this passion of sports, it takes a little bit of time to realize that it can actually become a career for you. So at what point did you realize, besides, you know, seeing your first inspiration, Kimberly Jones, get a little bit older and start thinking like, wait, I can actually make a career out of this. And it's not just, you know, an unattainable dream.
Yeah.
And did you ever want to be a pro athlete before that? Because I know some people kind of go like, oh, I'm trying to go pro. That doesn't happen. And they find another creative way to be involved with sports. So curious about that as well.
So I think for me, there's so many different layers. I played sports. I played softball for 8 years. I played volleyball for 6 years.
Okay.
Played basketball for 1 year. Ran track for 1 year.
You did everything. All right.
Cheerleaded a little bit. Volleyball coach hated that. And then in high school, my boyfriend at that time, we dated for like the entire high school. And he was the star basketball player. Okay. So I was at every single game. And then I was also still into like writing. So I joined the yearbook.
Okay.
So the yearbook squad, I was the sports editor, so I did literally the basketball games. I was already there.
Mm-hmm. Makes
So
sense.
all I did was just have a camera, and now I'm doing interviews,
Fire.
writing articles for them. And then it kind of translated like to other sports. And then by the time I was a senior, I became the editor-in-chief of the yearbook. So I had a lot of creative control, and that was really important to me. Like I
Fire.
designed the cover of our yearbook. Like I had a lot of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
So combining my love for sports, and then also combining like my love for creativity,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, when I go to college, I want to make sure I go somewhere where I can explore those two avenues.
Fire.
So that was, that's how it really sunk in for me.
Got you. And then what was that college experience like, going into that next phase?
So I went to UCF out in Orlando.
Fire.
Shout out to the Knights.
You know what I'm saying?
And we had our own student sports show.
That's
so
tough.
ran
That's
by
tough.
students, like hosted by students, and for students. It was called Hitting the Field.
Okay.
I mean, they still to this day have that show.
That's fire.
And we didn't start it, but we definitely helped, I guess, push it along.
Mm-hmm.
Because at one moment, I think when it was like my freshman year, they kind of took a break, and then they kind of got it started back up again.
Mm-hmm.
And I got heavily involved with that. I met some guys who I'm still like my brothers to this day.
Fire.
And that meant a lot to me. So that kind of helped me, learn how to do the stuff like reading a teleprompter, working as a technical director, helping create posts and go on live for social media.
Okay.
All those hands-on skills I learned, and we didn't have teachers down our neck, trying to make sure we did everything right. We really had to problem solve ourselves.
That's fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they let y'all cook.
They let us cook.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw you also worked with Orlando City and MLS. So how's that experience?
Soccer bag. I know you're going to get into it.
Come on, gang. Footy.
I know you're going to get into it. Yeah, so I worked for Orlando City Soccer. At first, I started as a social media intern.
Fine.
And as I was working the games as a social media intern, that means like I'm going into the stands. Yep. I'm getting beer.
It's crazy.
Chucked on me.
Yeah.
Like I'm dodging, I'm right behind the goal, trying to dodge, not getting hit, at practice and stuff like that. But it was just so fun. Like soccer games are madness.
Say it again, that shit is lit. Like, even in the US, that shit is lit.
Okay,
real.
Question for you. Would you prefer going to soccer games here?
No, go ahead.
Over like basketball, the Knicks? Like,
I mean, define games here. MLS? Or like the U.S. national team in the World Cup in 2 years? Because I'll pick the World Cup.
Everybody is going to go see the World Cup.
They're going to try. They're not all going to get in.
Even if you're not like a soccer fan, you're still going to try to make that happen. But like a regular MLS game like New York City FC or Red Bulls.
Yeah, nah, I'm picking the Knicks. I ain't going to lie. But that's just because like the culture of the Knicks in this city is so crazy. Madison Square Garden, the celebs that are filling the front row. Even when we were trash, they were all there. Now it's even more just like the lighting of it, the music, everything about Madison Square Garden when a game happens is just a whole nother level. And now to have this team this good right now, legit chance at maybe going to the East Finals if we get healthy, I got to pick the Knicks right now, for sure. Okay. The energy at the Knicks is crazy. But I will absolutely go to a New York City FC game over a Brooklyn Nets game because nobody want to go to Barclays for the Nets. So, yeah, definitely.
Okay, you eating.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I will say? I hate the soccer field at baseball stadiums look.
Nah, it's super bad. I'm not gonna lie. It's super bad, yeah. And the fact that they play in Yankee and Citi Field, like to play in two different baseball stadiums in the city is crazy. But they are getting approvals for official soccer-only stadium in Queens, I think for like 2027. So fingers crossed that gets approved and they can play there because they deserve that too.
I don't understand why they didn't just go across to the old Yankee Stadium yard because I thought that was turned into like a soccer field or some kind, like it's open.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, like they could have just moved right across, built something across from Yankee Stadium, then that would have been lit to kind of have like a little sports complex in the Bronx.
Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of that now, but in Queens because it's going to be by Citi Field for the baseball stadium. And I think is UBS one arena out there too? I know it's like Long Island, but is it kind of by Queens?
Yes, that's like Belmont.
Belmont, okay. So yeah, it's going to, We're going to talk about Drake later. But so it's going to be in Queens. It should be by the baseball stadium, so we'll have that kind of feel. But I did live in Philly, and one thing that's cool about Philly is that baseball, football, hockey, and basketball are all in the same part of South Philly. So the energy around there is lit. And you know Philly fans are crazy. Yeah. And now they got Saquon, so.
Literally the worst people I've ever
For
encountered
real.
in my life.
All of them? Like all the sports teams are just Eagles? Because I feel like Eagles and Sixer fans, they're both crazy, but Eagles fans, like that's another level.
Nah, Eagles
from my
fans
perspective.
take the cake.
Yeah.
Like, they're not as delusional as Cowboys fans, so I respect that. But it makes it even worse because they have like
Success.
credibility, to what they're talking their, talking their mess for. So that makes it worse. This whole Saquon thing makes it worse. Jalen Hurts being one of my favorite athletes over there makes it worse. This is just a bad time.
Yeah, that's tough. Yo. How do you think they're gonna do next year? Like, are they a Super Bowl favorite, NFC favorite to you?
They're definitely NFC favorites. It was interesting to see them fall off so bad in those like last 6 games of the
fell
season.
Off crazy, yeah.
To be honest, I don't really care how we do this season. I don't really care how they do. As long as we beat them those 2 games.
Both? Y'all not
both.
winning in Philly, bro.
I need both.
You need both?
I need both now.
Who's gonna get it done for y'all? Who's that, Daniel Jones? He on the team?
Barely. He's still there. He hanging on by a thread.
That's crazy.
We'll see what happens when the draft comes up. But, it's going to be a defensive. I mean, Giants, like, we've always had pride in our defense.
Mhm.
That's what's really carried us through championships, through success. So they're putting money into our defense this year.
Okay.
And it was already taken off. We had Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence. So now that we added few key pieces like Brian Burns, Bobby Okereke's coming back for another season. I think the defense, we have no choice but to be better than last year.
You hope.
We'll see. As long as we're not losing 40-0 to the Cowboys again,
nah.
That was brazy.
Cannot let that happen. And not the way Cowboy fans are too. Like, you just cannot let that happen.
I mean, I was there witnessing it in the rain.
That's a different type of pain. Like, that's R&B music video pain. Like, that's tough. Like. That's really tough.
I felt like I was Chris Brown outside of my girls' like dorm with the rain going. Like, why? Why are you doing this?
I'm crying. Tough times. We all been there with our different sports teams, though. You know what I'm saying? Knicks fan, so I know all about the pain.
You got it. Do you have a football team?
So that's interesting, right? I'm not really into football like that, but I randomly picked the Seahawks in like 2013.
Okay.
Russell Wilson's rookie season, and I liked their jerseys. So I was like, fuck it, I'm a Seahawks fan. And then they won the Super Bowl. I was like, oh, shit. Okay. So I became a Seahawks fan, and then obviously, the turnover on the, what do you call it? On like the 2-yard line, whatever, should have given it to Marshawn the next year. Yeah. But they still won the Super Bowl within me watching of 2 years. So that made me like very passionate about them. Since then, it's fallen off a little bit, and I've probably gotten even more into soccer and basketball just because like there's so much to cover within those sports. Mm-hmm. But I'm still a Seahawks fan, and it's the only team I like out of the major sports that's not New York. But because of that, I still have to support the Giants because it's New York. So I still do like the Giants, but I'm a Seahawks fan. That's kind of how I explain it.
Okay, yeah, I'm not mad at it.
But I'm definitely not 1 p.m. or 4 p.m. because they're West Coast. I'm not 4 p.m. on Sundays like, okay, I'm tuned in, Jersey, watch the 3 hours. I'm not like that, to be honest.
I actually have a Seahawks jersey.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, who, Russell?
No.
Who?
I can't disclose that.
Oh, it's like that? I'm not going to ask how or why you have that jersey. I'm going to just leave it there.
Seattle's a cool place.
Yeah? Cool city?
It's a cool little city. It's a calm little city.
Calm little city?
Would never move there, though, but it's a calm
I heard it rains all the time.
Yeah.
I've never been, so.
I mean, like, you would get depressed out there. So, but they do have a really good winery out there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Chateau Saint Michelle.
Chateau Saint
That's one of my favorite wine brands, and they have a winery out there.
Really?
Seattle.
I'm going to have to tap in.
Look,
that's fire.
That's a long flight, but it's
yeah, definitely. So. West Coast got it, though, because they got, like, Napa Valley in California. Do that, fly up to Seattle sort of thing.
Sonoma.
Yep. But I was going to say, so when you worked for Orlando City, that was in college as an intern?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then how did you eventually turn that into ESPN? How did you get to ESPN? And work on the #1 sports show of all time by ratings. Literally, look it up. So congrats on that. Like, that's incredible, to be honest. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so going back to Orlando City days, it's funny because I started as a social media intern, and as I was, in the stands doing my thing, handling business, the director of broadcast came up to me and was like, hey, would you want to also be a broadcast intern and help us with our away games in the studio, help us with our home games in the studio and all that? And I was like, absolutely. So I became social media / broadcast intern. And then they brought me on more of like a part-time position where I was getting paid now. And I was a broadcast spotter / red hat. I don't know if you've heard of that before.
Nah, if you want to explain to the audience too.
So basically, my job was to help the producers and directors that were either in a foreign location or they were inside the production truck. I was their eyes and ears on the field.
Okay.
So anytime there was a corner kick, I literally had the headset on and I was like, corner kick purple.
Okay.
Or if like before the game even starts, I had to go midfield, and I would have to, the ref would have to wait for my cue to start the game.
Wow.
Right.
That's mad cool.
It's crazy,
Yo, everybody
man.
hold on. Everybody relax. I'm gonna tell you when
I'll
to
be
start.
like, because they'll be like, they'll look at me and they'll be like, are we ready to go? And if the producers are in my ear and they're like, no, we're coming back from a commercial break, this person's not ready, we still need 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Y'all are not putting that ball down on that field.
That's crazy.
Until I say go.
Yeah.
So and it was cool. I used to sit right at the scorer's table when there were substitutions. Obviously, like we would be maybe like a couple seconds ahead. So I would give them, and that used to be the stressful part, trying to get them the substitutions before they happen. Because you know how some coaches are, they're strategic.
Yep.
So they'll write down one player's number on the substitute sheet, and then you'll see Alex Morgan warming up, and you're like, you said Ali Krieger was going in, and now I see Alex Morgan. What's up?
Yeah.
But it was fun because I got to literally be right there and watch the entire game and just get paid to give cues and to keep people up to date with what was going on.
That's fire.
Yeah, so.
That's really cool. And I actually think one of my friends did something similar like that for college football because he was doing like the first down, second down sort of thing.
Okay.
So I think that might be a spotter.
Don't you have to wear like a certain color hat for that too?
I don't know. He was in the media area of the stands, I think, but he was like reporting for the broadcast or for like the graphics team, all the first down, first and third, second and 5, whatever.
Yeah.
So
you got to be alert
a lot.
at all
Bro,
times.
you can't just be, you better be dialed in for real.
And talk about like heat, rain, and in Florida, it gets hot and it rains a lot.
Yeah.
So talking like rain delays, you got to be out there. Heat warnings, you got to be out there.
Terrible. Bro.
But it gave me an opportunity to also work with directors for ESPN and Fox and Univision and Lifetime back when they used to have NWSL games.
Really?
So all that,
wow,
it was funny because when I first got to ESPN, I met up with a producer who I used to work with when I was an intern doing that stuff too. So it kind of all came full circle, but Orlando really kickstarted my sports career because between Orlando City and then working for UCF football and working for their basketball team, I really just had that professional like credibility when it came to sports. I was still doing my own thing, going to games, interviewing coaches, fans, whatever. So I still kept that like creative side to me going.
Right.
And then it was like one day I was in Orlando and I was just like, I think it might be time for me to tap more into what I really, really want to do, which is being in media and sports. And I went to a conference a few years ago at that time called NABJ.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yes.
It's big. It's big.
It's lit. Honestly, you got to pull up.
Yeah. Am I a journalist? Isn't that the J? I'm a journalist. Oh,
you are journaling right now.
All right. No, I need to pull up. I see like Rich Paul's there. Like it's like big time.
Yes.
That's fine.
That's literally where I give a lot of my credit to because the people that I met there are the people who were already at ESPN that helped me open that door to then walk through ESPN.
I got you.
And of course, like they'll connect you, but you still got to do your part and show up. And I'm like, thankfully, that's how it all worked out.
That's cool. And when you got pulled into ESPN from that conference, was it a single show at a time? Is it like the morning first few shows? Like, how does that kind of work for people that might be interested in that sort of thing? Like, are you
Yeah.
full-time first take? Do you do get up and first take? Like, how does that kind of
Yeah.
thing work?
So when they first bring you in, like I was a part of a program called ESPN Next. So like
Okay.
ESPN Next Up, I guess, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they put you in rotations.
Cool.
So
cool,
for
cool.
first 6 months, you work on your, I guess, desired show, or they'll place you where they need fit.
Mm-hmm.
And then another 6 months, you'll rotate and go to a completely different avenue or department in media. And I thankfully somehow my first 7 months got placed on First Take.
That's fire as fuck.
And at that point, I was a production assistant.
Okay.
So my producers that I work with now have literally seen me grow from first day.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't the easiest start.
I can't imagine it is.
No, it was because I started in January 2020.
Oh, shit.
So if you think about the things that happened.
Anyone who started anything in 2020, just like, yeah.
First, within a week.
Take me through that. I got to hear.
Yeah, so with my first week was when Kobe died.
Fuck. I remember. I was
Yeah.
in the gym when it happened. It fucked me up too much.
And it messed me up too real hard. Like the Gigi part of it too really messed me up.
all the little girls, bro. Just like, fuck.
It was tough. So imagine like for the average fan, you were tuning into ESPN, tuning into SportsCenter, tuning into First Take to get that Kobe coverage that you needed.
Mhm.
But yeah, you could turn off the TV and go watch something else or go work out, go be with your family, whatever. I literally every single day had to relive it over and over again.
And that's all that was on sports news.
And that's all we were talking about.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm watching my coworkers cry. Like I specifically remember like being at my desk, like working and crying at the same time. Like it was that bad. So that was my first week. Welcome to ESPN.
Yeah.
And then 2 months later, COVID hit and sports were gone. So like,
what did you do?
How do you get to ESPN? Your first year of sports have gone for the first time ever in history. Like, that is insane. Like, that's
actually crazy when you think about it. And all sports too. Like nothing was going on.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah. Like we thankfully survived by The Last Dance. You know, First Take, we were talking about The Last Dance literally almost every single day.
Debating shit. Like,
it gave us a lot to talk about. But granted, it also helped that I was on First Take because we were one of the only shows that were still going at that time.
Mm-hmm.
They sent 95% of the company home. And everyone was just chilling.
Stephen A. ain't the 95%. You heard?
Not at all. That 5%, that was us.
That's amazing.
Like,
that's amazing.
I had essential worker paperwork if I ever got pulled over going into work.
It's like that. Come on. What?
I'm an essential worker, baby.
What are you talking about? That's tough. That's tough.
Y'all need me here.
Yeah.
But once again, it's like you don't really picture that, you know, ESPN, that's not how you would picture your first year.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it did like help build a lot of independence, resilience for me.
Mm-hmm.
And just like working through the emotions that I had to go through constantly while living in Bristol, Connecticut, of all places.
So you lived in Bristol back then?
Yes.
Damn. Well, how was that?
Terrible.
Because I always hear Bristol, Connecticut just for the studio vibe, but I know nothing about actually Bristol.
Have you been to Connecticut at all?
I have only driven through. I actually drove through this weekend, but I've never like stepped foot outside in Connecticut and like done anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything about Connecticut.
Literally same until the first day I moved there. That was my first day stepping foot in Connecticut.
How was it?
And as a single Black woman, it's definitely not the place to be.
Can't imagine it is.
Yeah. At all. Like, I see my girl over there shaking her head. She's like, no, girl, you know. It's just not the place to be honest. A lot of my coworkers had lived in Connecticut, had families, went to UConn, like their homebodies, like this was their city life. Like they loved it. Which is no shade to them. Like do whatever works for you. But born in the city, then I lived in Tampa, I lived in Orlando. Now you got me up in Bristol?
Bristol's crazy.
What's up? Like,
nah, that's wild.
Confusion.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the best times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then as a production assistant on these shows, talk about like what your day-to-day looks like, the sort of skills people need for those roles, and like really what do you do as that sort of role, you know, at ESPN?
Yeah, a lot of it was video editing.
Okay.
Which is interesting now because you can do a lot of that stuff on your phone, especially with TikTok, Instagram, Reels, and all that stuff. But, you know, we use very high-tech HD software. It's very similar to like Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere Pro. But a lot of that too was not just about how you cut video, but like how you tell a story.
Okay.
So during the interview process, I remember like one of the tasks that we had was they showed us like 10 highlights and they were like, order these to tell the story of the game.
Oh, interesting.
So you
That's
have to
cool.
like pick like, do I want to show this 80-yard touchdown or do I want to show this interception? Like you have to be very strategic and intentional with how you tell a story. And that was, you know, a lot of my day-to-day responsibility, putting together highlights, putting together clips, matching our video elements with the script.
Okay.
And teleprompting, like just a lot of PA stuff.
Yep.
You know, printing scripts, sorting them, that kind of thing. I didn't really get into like the scripting and the creative side and kind of like trying to execute bigger picture ideas until I got to this level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. And so when you say the video editing for the show, are you talking about, for instance, Knicks beat the Mavs by 20 and they're showing like Jalen Brunson highlights as Stephen A's talking sort of thing? That's fire. That's really, really cool.
So it was like initially I was creating the video. Now I'm actually the one writing the script.
That's sweet.
And there's people who create videos to follow the script that I'm writing.
Fire.
So it's, yeah.
That's really cool. And how scripted are those shows? Because people probably don't even know that there are scripts or teleprompters even used. They think it's completely off the cuff of the person.
I will say this over and over again. Stephen A doesn't need scripting, y'all.
Come on. Say that again. Yeah, you know.
He does his own thing. Like, come on. Like, you can never script that man, honestly. But a lot of my responsibility is like writing like breaking news stuff. A lot of the hardcore like lead-ins to stories. Molly will write the first hour of the show. Myself and a rotation of a few other people will write the second hour. And that's an everyday thing. When you see like coming up on First Take, you know, Dak Prescott loses another playoff game, is his career in jeopardy in Dallas. Like,
you love those ones, right?
Yes.
Put a little extra.
But I'm not gonna lie. The other week when Saquon left and like I was in charge of writing scripts, it took everything in me for my bias not to just like jump off the jump off the script.
Fuck nigga Saquon.
Bruh, this Snakequan. Like I was like, how can I, you know, take my emotions out of this? And it was funny because like I had a few questions in there, a few things in there, and Molly was just like, I'm not.
That's mad funny.
With that. And I was like,
because that's to be unbiased, right?
Yeah, I
More
mean
or
that's
less,
you know, journalism ethics. Obviously, when you're a personality like Stephen A, you can really be as biased as you want to. Like, you know, I dabble into the talent lane as well. So like I'm learning how to transition like from being super objective to also inserting your opinion and knowing that that's what people want to hear too.
Facts.
So it's a fine line that you have to walk between, you know, reporters, super objective, personalities, anchors. You can be a little bit more biased with your fandom.
Got you. And now you're full-time First Take?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
And I gotta ask, how's it been working with Molly, Stephen A, Mad Dog, everybody? Like, what's that crew, if you could take me down, kind of the list of people, how they've been so far?
Okay, so I'll start with my favorite.
Okay.
Just kidding, I don't have favorites. But if I did, it'd be JJ Redick.
Okay, that's my ball knowledge. He be supporting my Knicks. JJ, I fuck with you big time.
Yes.
And I fuck with JJ because he doesn't hate on the modern game. I really respect someone who can actually like support the modern game, enjoy the fact that players are, you know, positionless basketball, all these sort of things, and not get caught up in like the 60s and Larry Bird, like Mad Dog, which I also respect too, because he knows way more than he'll forget more than I even know type vibe, as like people say, because he's so experienced. But I do appreciate somebody who can actually appreciate the modern game and not just shit on it. Because it's a lot of nostalgia. People be hating, and it's like, just support the modern game. So, but yeah, JJ.
You see that with his new pod with LeBron.
Just started, yeah.
Mind the pod, like Mind the Game. And they really talk ball. And I'm not going to lie, like I don't know the ins and outs, the X's and O's of being on a basketball court and playing the game. So when I listen to JJ talk, when I listen to LeBron talk, like I just appreciate the fact that I'm learning. Right. And it's nice that the thing that JJ's, like what stands out about him to me, especially as a producer, is that he cares more about the like the meat and potatoes of what he's saying and the lessons that he's also teaching other people about the game. Not necessarily just like what's gonna get the most clicks and what's gonna get everyone fired up the most. It's really intentional with how he breaks down the game and decides to share that with us. And I think that that's something that me and him have in common, where it's like when we had the Denver Nuggets in the finals and like, you know, I had not necessarily First Take, but other shows that I worked on, they're like, we don't want to talk about the Denver Nuggets. We don't have to because, you know, we want to talk about the Lakers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, we actually should talk about the Denver Nuggets because
sure.
this might be their first championship ever.
Yeah.
Like, how is that not a bigger story than the Lakers? So JJ is one of those people that like, he'll help me fight those battles.
That's good.
So that's why I really, really appreciate him.
That's fire. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we got JJ. Who else?
Definitely shout out to like Molly, Stephen A, Mad Dog. They've helped me as well. Like Stephen A is so
Nah, I ain't gonna lie. He might be the funniest person on the planet.
Bruh, he's hilarious.
Like his personal show is killing me. He got Squirrel on there, Minecraft, like just the randomest of shit.
Charmander. Charmander, like
bro, the relationship advice. He is so funny.
Oh, and I get that.
So funny.
Oh, Stephen.
He gives you relationship advice
all the time.
I need to hear what he says.
All the time.
I need to hear Stephen A. relationship advice.
I mean, at first, so Stephen A. had a pretty decent read on me within the first couple months of working together.
Okay.
You know, he would tell me like, you would be able to walk all over somebody. You need someone else to put you in your place. You're just so mean. Like, you're always just so mean to me. Like, you're always coming at me about this and that. And he's like, you know, he just gives his uncle advice. Like, that's really what it is.
He seemed like an uncle for real.
It's just uncle advice. Me and him got into it last week over Love is Blind.
I need to know his take, then I need to know your take, and then I'll give you my take.
So it was funny because we had Clay come to the office.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
So he was on Logged In with Anscape. Shout out to my girl Sheila. That's her show.
I've heard good things about Anscape.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he came on her show and we were just in the green room and like it was funny because Ryan Clark and JJ were listening to us talk about Love is Blind and they were like, what the hell are y'all talking about? Like, but I go into the studio, I'm like, Stephen A, like, you think you can get married to someone without seeing what they look like?
Nah, what does Stephen A say to that? I need to hear this.
You can imagine. I mean, like,
funny.
I really tried to fight him on the fact that there are people who actually do it, and he just was not budging. He was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
He's like, there's no way I'm going to marry somebody without knowing that. He's like, you might fall for them at first, but once you see them, and if you're not, like, attracted to them, he was like, there's no way it could work.
Yeah.
So I do agree with that. But my main point of the argument was the fact that you can fall in love without actually seeing that person.
Okay.
And if you are in super deep, like depending on how much of a hopeless romantic you are, you might be riding with it no matter how they look.
Fair.
So, or they may not be like your type, but you still rock with it because you fell in love with that, what's inside for that person.
Gotcha.
So that was my biggest thing. But you know, he was just like, you know, he has a type, so
what's his type?
They gotta fit that type.
What's Stephen A's type?
I mean, I'm sure you listen to the pod, so you know he.
Funny, bro.
But that was a fun. Those are fun moments for me where it's like we don't have to just talk about sports all the time.
Yeah.
I remember I came into work. It was, I want to say, within 2 weeks after I met Stephen A for the first time. And the weekend before I came into work, I had got my purse stolen.
Damn.
Right over there, LES at Pianos.
Yo, Pianos.
Yo, Pianos. If you watching this, if you watching this right now, Pianos, just know we are never gonna be good.
Bro.
Never.
Some nights have been had in Pianos though. I think I've outaged it now. I feel like once you hit 26, 27, it's kind of dub. But like Pianos has had some moments.
That was my first time there.
Oh. But it was lit?
And it was my last time.
Damn, you know, it back. It had its moments, so that shit was lit. That shit was lit.
But the crazy part was I really didn't even want to go out that night. Like, the guy that I was dating at the time, he was like, oh, my friends are going to be here. Let's just go, da-da-da. I really wanted to go home.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, it's okay. Like, I'll go out, whatever. And I ended up getting my purse stolen.
Damn. With valuables in it or just
everything?
Damn,
everything.
That's different.
ID. I mean, I had corporate cards in there. They was running up my corporate cards.
Nah.
I had to go to ESPN and be like, it wasn't me, bro. It wasn't.
That's crazy.
So anyway, I go to work and I was just, of course, I'm feeling it. Like, I'm in my feelings. I was just not the same bubbly personality I am. And Stephen A. was like the only person to come over to my desk and be like, you're not yourself. What's wrong? Talk to me. If you need anything, let me know. I got you.
Heard you.
And that was within 2 weeks of working with him and meeting him. So for me, like, that goes a long way. That will always, always stick with me. And that'll be a story that I always share with people, because everyone has this perception that, you know, he's arrogant and that he's just so boisterous, and how can he really be like that in person? And he can turn it on and off. But when you do see that genuine side where he genuinely looks out for all of his people, then you get to, like, have a different respect for him.
That's fire. That's a goat right there, honestly. And how's it been with Shannon joining the club as well?
Oh, it's been awesome.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's been awesome. He won't come to New York, though.
Really?
Like, he loves being in LA. But you know, Lakers, all that. Like, I don't blame him. But so there's only been a few times where I've actually got to interact with him in person. And seeing the Cat Williams interview blow up, and Club Shay Shay now has...
That was crazy.
Yeah.
A 3-hour interview getting maybe like 40 million views. Yes. I've never seen that in my life. I've never seen anything like it. With a comedian that, yeah, he's a legend, but like, he's not on the top of our minds. Like, it got more more views than like when Drake was on, I think it was called Rap Radar, that podcast a few years ago, which we thought he was gonna sell the shit about push. Like, it got more views. Like, that's crazy. Shout out to Shannon Sharpe, bro.
Yeah, yeah, crazy. He ate down. So just seeing, like, I was thinking about that on the way here for whatever reason, like how blessed Shannon is, because for his career to be here with First Take, obviously, you know, things kind of ended a little bit rocky over with the ops.
The ops, so, yeah.
People are funny, bro.
Nah, say it, weird.
Nah, because it was the other day. You know how guys are. They just, oh, you work at ESPN. I love you. What do you do? You work on Undisputed?
Nah, chill out, bro.
Next. Like, you don't even know what shows like is on ESPN, but. Yeah. But anyway, so when he left the ops to come over to us, it was good to see him still elevate. And then now with his podcast, Nightcap with Ocho Cinco, like, it's just great to see. I like seeing Black men flourish.
Yeah.
So.
Nah, he's going crazy.
Yeah.
That's fire. So now that you're at ESPN, you've had all these amazing experiences, you met these sort of legends and whatnot. What do you think is next for you? Is it growing more within there? I know you're obviously doing your personal content creation as well. Like, how are you feeling about, you know, your next chapter?
Next chapter is definitely going to be the most important chapter.
Okay, say that.
Yes. This year, I've been trying to move with a lot of intention, be very particular with what I say yes to and what I say no to. Because like I said, people do come to me and approach me with ideas and things that they want me to be a part of. Most times I say yes, but I think I'm at that stage where I'm getting ready to stop saying yes to everyone else and pour more into me. Say that. So, you know, I want to be intentional with, you know, making my own podcasts. And a lot of the stuff that I do outside of ESPN is for longevity. So that's kind of like where my mind's at. Got you. But ESPN will always, you know, still be on the forefront of my mind as far as like my everyday goals. Okay. And right now, like, you know, I'm training for that next step up. So whatever that looks like, whether that's working at NBA games, whether it's working NFL games, getting a promotion where it's like I can have more creative control as far as like the guests we have on our show. And just like everyday topics that we talk about, like that's the next step up. Fire.
And speaking of that, do you have a preference between NFL, NBA? I know NFL. I assume your Giants is your biggest team that you support, so.
Yeah, definitely NFL. I mean, I like going to NBA games too, just because like you're inside first.
I was just about to say weather's not an issue, bro.
Like
You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
praying my baby brother sticks with basketball because I'm not trying to be out there sitting on them hard ass bleachers
Screaming.
every single weekend, rain, sleet, or snow. Like,
Yeah.
it's nice to be indoors. But definitely NFL. Like, a lot of the things I would probably talk about for my podcast would be like NFL base.
Okay.
Definitely get some soccer in there.
Oh, holla at me. And I can talk NBA too. Don't get it twisted.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure, for
I
sure.
know you Knicks down,
Come
so
on,
you
gang.
got to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of what's next. I don't want to give away too much,
For sure.
but I definitely want to start my own fantasy league this year.
Hey, that's tough.
Yeah,
Cool.
so I've been doing it for 4 years now, and
Wow.
4 to 5 years, and I've won twice.
That's really good. That's super rare, even for like good players. Damn.
Yeah, and I'll be in groups with like other football players. Like, they know the game just as much as I do. So it would be like me and like one other girl and be like 6 to 8 guys.
Yeah.
And to come out on top,
That's fire.
It was-
Multiple times?
first year, back-to-back years,
What?
they was hating.
Nah, they be tight. Your
They
first
was
year?
hating so hard. It was like, why? Come on now. But
I'm crying.
I did work on the fantasy show as well
Okay.
for ESPN, and I was the fantasy god. Like,
Oh,
I
shit.
played a character on the show.
Oh, that's with what's his name?
Matthew
Berry?
Mhm.
Oh shit. Legend. I was like really into fantasy. I don't remember what season. Let's just say like 2016, 17, something like that. And I actually used to listen to the fantasy football podcast all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole summer getting ready for the season. I was like doing my mock drafts and everything.
Field Yates.
I didn't do it. Field, yeah,
Yep.
remember Field. And then there was a woman, I forgot her
Stephania
name.
Bell.
Stephania Bell.
Yeah. I used to
Damn,
work
they
with all of them.
still doing their thing?
Matthew, he's with NBC now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Field is still with ESPN. I don't know where Stefania is.
Yeah,
But that was one of my favorite shows working on at ESPN.
I can imagine. They seem like just a good time, honestly.
Oh, we would cut up. Like,
yeah, I
we
can
would have
imagine.
puppets. I mean, I was an animated character at first.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, I became an on-camera character. But we would do skits, and it was just a fun time. Like, it was pre-recorded, so sometimes we would just like start cracking up in the middle of a taping.
Yeah.
And, we would go out for drinks after the show. Like,
Fire.
every Christmas, Matthew would get us, some nice stuff for the squad.
That's awesome.
So it was more like a family than co-workers.
That's
with that
really
show,
good.
for sure.
That's really good to see. And fantasy football has grown crazy since then.
Oh, yeah.
To have it was like it might have been more than 24 hours, the marathon, if you remember that.
Yes.
That was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And if you have no context of fantasy football and you just turn to ESPN, you're like, what am I watching, bro? But the growth has been crazy, honestly.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, if it came down to like talking about sports, fantasy football is up there for me. Obviously,
Really? Okay.
NFL is up there, but fantasy for sure, because it's just so personal. Like, you can love a player one week and the next week you're like cussing him out, calling him a bum.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
Yeah, and there's money involved.
Word.
Like,
Which is a good transition into sports betting. So what are your thoughts on that? And now that that's become like fully legalized, DraftKings is huge now, FanDuel, all that kind of stuff.
So it's tough because they're trying to regulate it real bad because they realize that it's kind of a wildfire right now.
Definitely.
Especially with Shohei,
I just saw that. That was
Jonte
crazy.
Porter, like all these different players, and people are kind of getting wrapped into like now these legal versus illegal, and it's just kind of all confusing, to be honest. But I think that this is like, people have been sports betting for years.
Yeah.
Now it's finally legal. So of course, the government wants to get involved. Now it has more pressure for it to be done right. I'm not against it, but I am against, like, I just don't understand like the legal versus legal. Like, if someone is an NFL player and you tell them that they can't bet on, other sports, like, I don't get it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
it's just weird.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think it's good. What do you think about it?
I don't know. I think people need to relax a little bit because some people are taking it too far in terms of how often they're betting, in terms of like the parlays to this or that. One of my homeboys was betting on Pat Beverly rebounds, and I said, this is going too far, bro. Pat Beverly rebounds.
That's what
Pat
we're
Beverly
looking at.
rebounds do not need to be bet on. I like it for myself in terms of very random $10 parlays that could turn into like 150. but I've never personally got into sports betting like that. But it is crazy to see just like how much it's taken over for some people. But I think if you have disposable income at a small amount that you're willing to lose, I think it'd be a little fun thing to do with your friends. But don't bet the mortgage, bro. Don't put the wife's engagement ring. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody relax, bro.
I have something really funny to tell you.
I need to hear this.
Do you want to know what my sports betting record is?
Yes.
I'm currently...
Say it. Nah, let me hear.
All right. I think I'm currently like 2-68.
Jesus Christ.
I've only won twice, and it was
that's crazy.
The same game one night. It was funny. I didn't even know like FanDuel kept track of
your record,
all the money.
I gotta check mine.
They keep track of all the money you've made versus money you've lost.
Big ass red arrow down. That's crazy.
Nah, my shit is looking crazy. Like to the point where it's like I don't even want to bet no more.
Yeah, demoralizing.
Unless I'm literally texting, like, I will text my homies, like, shout out to Dion.
Yeah.
I'll text my homies and I'll be like, yo, what you got for Knicks versus Warriors tonight?
Yeah.
And he'll, be like, this is who I got, da-da-da-da. And, like, I'll go in there and I'll be like, I see Josh Hart is, 2 for 12 the last 2 nights. He think he might get over 5 assists. Yeah. I think he could do, I'll throw in my own little flavor there. But for the most part, I need to stay away.
Yeah. Damn, but hey, you just gotta hit big one time. That's why people get addicted.
Yeah, just one time. But yeah, damn. It was fun though. Addiction's not fun.
The addiction's not fun. Nah, people too. I've never been to Vegas, but I heard it's a little crazy. Outside of the parties and everything, when you go through the casino, it's a little bit like, damn, y'all really like can't leave this space, bro. Mm-hmm. That's wild. But being a woman in sports and seeing how much women's sports is growing right now, I think it's very clear that even women's college basketball is bigger than men's college basketball for March Madness.
Yes,
so in terms of the state of women's sports and then the state of women's sports content creators, reporters, Taylor Rooks, Ashley Nicole Moss, all these people, what are your thoughts on kind of the state of both of those topics?
I love it. Like, first and foremost, especially within the last 4 years of being at ESPN, having that responsibility, like people ask me all the time, what's it like being a Black woman working in sports? And I always say that it's a responsibility more than anything, because at the end of the day, I know that when I walk into a room, I might be the only person that looks like me. So if there's an issue with Angel Reese that comes up, how many people are going to sit there and have her back and speak positively for her? How many people are going to sit there and say, Caitlin Clark is bigger than any NFL topic we're talking about right now? I have the responsibility of being that person to do that. And I don't sleep well at night if I go home and I don't hold people's feet to the fire. That's just the kind of person I am. I'm very intentional with how I produce, what I talk about. I'm never going to sit there and be like, let's just talk about BS to get people started. I'm not that kind of producer. So to see women's games be taken more in the forefront of ESPN, like the other day, Monday morning, we started the show with NCAA with women's. And that was the right thing to do.
For sure.
And like people texted me and was like, yo, I see y'all starting the show with women. Like that's what's up. When it's Black History Month, when it's Women's History Month, I'm at the forefront. I'm the one that's like, yeah, we need this guest. We need Asia Wilson. I want Asia Wilson to come on, but I don't want her to just talk about the aces. I want her to talk about her book, Dear Black Girls.
Fire.
Those questions need to be asked. And my producers know that if those questions don't get asked and we go in that post-show meeting, guess who's going to be the first person to say something?
Yeah.
But it's also about picking and choosing your battles for the people coming up after you. I don't want to ever put myself in a position where then the girls after me, people are kind of questioning whether or not like they're credible or questioning whether or not they're easy to work with. So it's just like a big responsibility. And the girls who are doing their thing now, Ashley, Joy, Taylor, like Joy and Taylor. I love even Treasure. Shout out to Treasure.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
My girl.
That's fine.
We're all connected some way, shape, or form.
That's fine.
Which I really want guys to understand that. Guys, I know everybody, bruh. No, like really, I'm connected to. At some point, if I need to get in contact with another woman in sports, there's somebody that's mutual that I can do that with.
That's fine.
So I just need men to pay attention to that. But it's beautiful to see the athletes take over the media game, and it's beautiful to see the women do their thing too.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And I gotta say, because I was at I think 2 playoff games for the Liberty, and the way they turned up the Barclays Center, bro, that is something I've never seen the Nets come close to.
Yeah, Nets could never.
We're talking about sold out, packed out, lit fans, waving flags, going to the WNBA finals. Like, the passion in that arena, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I just felt like it felt like a monumental moment for women's sports to have like a truly sold out full basketball arena for the playoffs. It was great to see.
Right.
Celebrities front row too on some real New York shit. It was great.
Yeah.
Fat Joe was there, Remy Ma, like it was lit.
Yeah,
I was
Kalani
like, this,
too. She's
yeah,
big and
she'd be supporting.
Yeah,
for sure,
that's
for
what's
sure.
up. I mean,
it was great to see.
I love seeing because the star power is really, gonna help.
Mm-hmm.
So I love to see other women and just not just women, but the men being super invested into women's sports too. I think that's the key part too.
For sure, for sure. Before I get you out of here though, we are both very big Drake fans. I am also a very big Kendrick and Cole fan. So, I'm in a very interesting position right now. But I'm very curious how you're feeling about what's going on right now. I personally think Drake's not gonna say shit. Cole might say a little something. I don't think anything's gonna happen. I don't think anything's gonna happen. I ain't gonna lie.
Really?
I don't think anything's gonna happen. I think it's being overblown. I think he's tight at Future and Metro. I think him and Kendrick have always been like, I'm better than you on some very rap competitive. But I don't think they have any personal beef. My understanding is that the Metro and Future shit is a lot more personal. So I can see Drake kind of ignoring Kendrick, to be honest. Which I don't think he necessarily should do, but I don't know. I can't imagine
How
that
can he ignore
Drake...
him when he's already been, hinting that there's been some kind of, like, her loss. People are like, oh, when you listen back...
About Kendrick?
I mean...
What? That's just about women. Like, what are we talking about, bro?
Future for sure.
Yeah.
Future for sure. But even, like, it's funny because I was listening to 6 p.m. in New York yesterday.
Great song. Unbelievable
And
track.
I literally said, if Drake was to drop 6 p.m. in New York tomorrow as if it was a new track, people would literally be like, he fried Kendrick. They would. Because if you listen to because when he's talking,
that's interesting.
We have to pull up the lyrics.
Yeah,
like
listen.
Insert. Yeah,
I can pull up the lyrics
because he talks about like him beefing with other men and him being the best and like all that is.
You
still
think it was
relevant.
about Kendrick?
I don't think it's about Kendrick, but I just say it's relevant to anybody.
That's fair.
It's like anybody could get this smoke.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you took Drake out of hip hop, hip hop would never be the same. Or at least it wouldn't be where it is now.
Nothing was the same. No pun intended. Yeah.
If you took J. Cole and Kendrick out of hip hop, it would be detrimentally affected. But the way that Drake has kind of changed the game is more impactful in the way they have. And I just feel like as an artist, as a whole, like Drake will, besides when he be coming at women, that's when he's doing wrong for me.
The Meg shit was weird as fuck. The Riri shit was, he needs to chill with that.
It was too much.
Yeah, it was
so too much. I love seeing him beef with men his own size. I'm like, carry on. If it ain't Meg and it ain't Riri and it's not Ice Spice, have fun.
He got beef with Ice Spice?
Well, like he, that whole thing. So and then she a 10, but it's good on mute or whatever he was supposedly about her.
Yeah,
he always got so much smoke for the ladies. Like I love to see him tussle with somebody his own size.
Yeah,
so I'm happy about it. Carry on.
Okay, but do you think he's gonna respond?
He should, and he will.
He will. I don't know what he's gonna say, to be honest.
The timing of it.
And what's the timeline for when he needs to drop? Because you can't wait a year, bro.
That's the thing, but like he's on tour, so it's like the timeline of how Kendrick and Future and Metro dropped it. Like it's good timing on their end because if he really, really wants to come out with something, he's got to take away time from the tour to do that.
Yep.
But I think he will respond, and I think that he needs to give him he needs to give both of them the Meek Mill treatment. Back in 2016.
Who needs to give who what?
Drake needs to give Kendrick
the Meek Mill treatment?
Yes.
That's not happening though. Because Kendrick's not Meek. Kendrick, first of all, I don't think Drake's gonna respond. If Drake responds, Kendrick's gonna come with the craziest shit we've ever heard.
You think Kendrick already has something?
Oh, for sure. It's bait.
Hooked?
It's bait. It's like, yo, come outside and play. You wanna hey.
No.
It's like the song, nigga, is you really like that? Is you really like that? We're gonna see. And he's coming with the craziest clip ever, for sure.
Okay. I mean, I'm not worried though. I'm just not worried. Like,
You're not worried?
Six God. Like, I'm
Shit.
not worried. Like,
Story of Adidon? I don't know. He can lose.
Come on now.
We gonna see.
What's Pusha T doing right now?
I mean, he's doing pretty great.
I don't know.
Pretty sure he has Grammys, collabs with Adidas. He's done great. He's been at festivals. He's making mad money. Yeah.
Yeah. He's.
But now the one thing is you can't out-popular Drake. That's not the battle. The battle has to be like quality, lyricism, integrity, shit like that.
Real quick.
Because popularity, he wins. Like, it's not even,
What's your favorite Drake album?
I think as I've gotten older and this whole journey of like building this side business and everything and really chasing my dreams and quitting my full-time job at the end of the year, I think Nothing Was the Same.
Okay.
I think Nothing Was the Same. That's his best rapping for sure.
Favorite song on that album?
I think it's called Paris Morton Music Part 2.
It's Pound Cake.
Pound Cake / Paris Morton Music 2. Yeah, that's like the last verse. The beat drops after Jay-Z and he just starts spinning. What? That's just crazy. That's probably my favorite, but Take Care is next. Those are the top two, without question for me. What about you?
Those were my favorite Drake eras for sure.
Yeah.
It's hard because I really do genuinely love all of them.
Me too. I'm a fan of all three. You know what I'm saying?
Genuinely do. It's weird. I'm about to shock people. I really loved Honestly Nevermind.
I liked it too.
Yeah, it's
If
so
y'all not outside, don't talk about the album, bro.
Yeah,
like,
no,
if you
y'all
don't be
don't
on
got
rooftops and shit, you don't have passports, come on, stop.
Listen, if your ceiling is looking real like the crater moon, don't worry about what kind of music Drake is making for people outside of the projects. Don't worry about it. Like, you have to have a passport to really rock with this. So that was one of my favorites for sure. I also really liked For All the Dogs, the deluxe version.
Yeah. The last deluxe, 6 songs were fire.
The deluxe really
Scary Hours 3, whatever it's called, that was fire.
Yeah.
The rest of the album, way too long. Take like 2/3 of that out. It'd be decent, but honestly, it might be his worst album. And none of his albums are like straight up bad, but that might be his worst.
I would say Her Loss is worse than that one.
That's because of 21 Savage, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Also, yo, Drake, I don't know what information 21 has on Drake. The amount of time he took during the live show, I was like, 21, you must have something on Drake to have this much crowd time. Like, why are you doing 45 minutes, bro?
During the concert?
Yeah, he did a long set. I'm like, I'm here for Drizzy, bro. Shout out 21, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Think of songs worth 45 minutes of 21 Savage.
Maybe not literally, but like, I was like, all right, Drake, you can come from the green room now, bro. Like, yeah.
Right.
Her Love, it's interesting. Because for me, Drake didn't treat that album as like, this is my shit. This is just like, we're having fun, I'm gonna rap a little bit. So I feel like the effort was low, so I didn't expect much. For All the Dogs, the hype around it, for him to give me that, I'm like, damn, dog.
You like, it could have been more.
Yeah, for sure. Still got some bangers though, absolutely.
Funny thing about Paris Morton Music, so when that song came out, I built an alter ego called Paris. I built an alter ego called Paris, and I literally got it directly from that song where he was just like, these are usually some thoughts I would share myself, but I thought, fuck, it's worth sharing with someone else other than Paris for once.
Yep.
So after that came out, I created a blog called Welcome to Paris, where I would literally like just release my poetry,
that's fire,
my spoken word, my inner thoughts that once again I would never usually share with anybody else. And I called that Paris, and then like that kind of became like an alter ego thing for me. So some people refer to me as Paris.
Really?
Yeah, and it's all literally because of that song.
That's hella cool. Wow. Before we get out of here, one last question, if you could answer very quickly. What do you think of the current state of R&B?
I'm an old school R&B girly.
Okay.
I love neo soul.
Okay.
I love like Erykah Badu, Sade. Like, I love SZA, and I love the new girls like her that are out. But for me, nothing will hit like neo soul R&B back in the day.
That's what people are saying. But there is still a lot of good new age artists, I gotta say, for sure.
Cleo Soul, she's one of them. Naomi, she's one of
Sharon,
them. Like,
for sure.
They're definitely holding it down. But I don't know, like Angie Stone, I be bumping her every day. So yeah.
Any low key artists that people might not know about that you want to shout out in terms of R&B?
Intern. Oh my God. Time out. Before we go,
Yeah.
I need everybody to go listen to the Vino mix on Spotify. I'm not gonna hold you. I listened to it all day on Saturday. As soon as I woke up, I was driving to my little brother's basketball game. I had that blasting. Yo, you really did your big one.
Nah,
and that was one of the main things
yo.
I wanted to mention to you.
I really appreciate that big time. Thank you so much.
It's just curated. I love a good playlist, and it was just curated to perfection, in my opinion.
I appreciate that big time.
And
honestly.
I appreciate really the effort that you put into it, because it's hitting.
Thank you.
So if I have any artists, I'm probably grabbing them from,
I appreciate
from the Vino mix.
I'm crying. I guess that's how we got to end the episode, yo. So definitely, subscribe here, subscribe to that channel, follow. I'll put the link to the playlist and everything. Appreciate you big time, Tati. Great conversation as always.
Thank you for having me.
For sure. Peace.